to address that right quick. All blacks. So again, the indoctrination is not just happening with us, it's happening on the other side too. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. Now, what is a servant? What is an overseer? Those are not representative of the people that's implementing this. You must have your white servants and white overseers also perpetual orchestrators of it. They're not even necessarily aware that they're a part of this construct. They're being used, but used nonetheless, just like the blacks. But it is trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Now, who is the person that most all black people, when don't nothing else hold them down, nobody hold them down, that they love and respect and trust, like who? Jesus. I don't care what you say. You got you a black person that love, respect, and trust Jesus, you're not going to pry that out of their hands. But as we found out, these people love King James and the Bible and what they're able to do with that narrative. It's tied into the deception and it's tied into the slavery and the indoctrination. So keep that in mind. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. Thank you, gentlemen. It's a hell of an intro. Let's make a slave. The origin and development of a social being called the Negro. Let us make a slave. What do we need? First of all, we need a black nigga man and a pregnant nigga woman and her baby nigga boy. Second, we will use the same basic principles that we use in breaking a horse, combined with some more sustaining factors. We reduce them from their neutral state, or we reduce them from their natural state in nature, whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their needs and the needs of their offspring. We break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency state so that we may be able to get more from them, useful production for our business and pleasure. And I got that line underlined because when I read it, and every time I read it, I almost get a lump in my throat. You know, because it's startling to hear somebody's willingness to do another group of people that they know are independent and capable, and their willingness to not only do this, but to teach children and women. You breaking them of their natural state too. You breaking that white woman and that white child from their natural state as well to implement this hate and this evil. So I'm gonna just read it again. It says, we break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency state so that we may be able to get more from them, useful production for our business and pleasure. So the racism wasn't even about just business. And you got to ask yourself, what the fuck is their pleasure? What is the pleasure that they was trying to seek out of doing this to us? Because we know the business is the slavery. That's the cotton, the tobacco, you know. But the pleasure, that's the supremacy. That's the racism. That's to embolden somebody to feel like how the police feel when they shoot our brothers and sisters down in the street and there's no repercussions. That's the pleasure. You think those cops are not hunters? They go after the big buck, you know, or go in Africa and they go lion hunting. So when they slay us in the streets, that's their pleasure. That's the perverse pleasure that's being mentioned in this book. And the green screen don't be trying to always show, but this is the back of a slave. Those are not birthmarks. And if you look at his profile, it looks a lot like the profile of Abraham Lincoln. It looks a lot like the profiles that we see with Menelik and a lot of the other images that Yaju has brought out, with showing us the Ethiopian royalty. So yeah, that's crucial. So anyway, moving on. Cardinal principles for making a Negro. For fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both horses and men, we lay down the art. We lay down the art. What did I just tell you that black and white is? It's a value system in art. It's degrees of light and darkness in art. So slavery is an art form, and that's why the caste system was necessary, to bring those varying degrees of light and dark, those values, to overplay the values. 4, if we are to sustain our basic economy, we must break both of the beasts together, the nigger and the horse. We understand that short-range planning in economics results in periodic economic chaos, so that to avoid turmoil in the economy, it requires us to have breadth and depth in long-range comprehensive planning, articulating both skill and sharp perception. So, steel sharpens steel, right? So if in putting together this corrupt system, they use comprehensive planning and articulation of skill and sharp perception, that's what it's going to take for us to implement, to overturn it, right? Just like they petitioned to each other in the judicial system to bring about corrupt laws and redlining and Jim Crow and all those things, we're using petitioning to those same courts to overturn it. Okay, so we lay down the following principles for long-range comprehensive economic planning. Number 1, both horse, and before I say this too, I'm reading the book as is. I'm not mincing my words, but I know Brother Danny Yo Live got shut down for what you said. They called it hate speech or whatever. I implore everybody that still has your TikTok, go to the Facebook, the official Facebook page, the official Instagram page, the official Meta page, and the official X or Twitter page, and block those pages. That's going to take you off of their algorithm and put you back onto the old TikTok algorithm, which clearly I'm doing this somewhat intentionally to kind of test the waters, but clearly the original or the old TikTok algorithm is where you're going to get the raw stuff that, without the interruption.
So you said basically to delete all those apps?
No, don't delete. You can't delete them because they got official pages. You know how when you got an official page, you got a blue check?
Yeah.
Yeah, so go to the Facebook page with the blue check, and you go to that little curved arrow in the upper right corner and hit that, like you're going to share something or share that page, and it gives you the option to block. If you block those profiles, it takes you off of that Meta algorithm.
Okay, I'm gonna try that and see how it go. But okay, that's what you said. It's a counts us on there. Okay, all right, cool.
So if your TikTok is seeming kind of bland or different, at this point it's just a theory, but I'm seeing a difference on my end after I did it, to be honest.
I've been hearing people say block those sites, but I didn't know why they were saying it. Okay, I get it. Yeah. Now, what you do, brother?
You go to that official page. So it's like when you put Facebook in the search, a lot of different Facebook names is gonna come up, but only one of them is Facebook. It's got the official blue check. and it's probably got, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers or whatever, but really they don't even have any posts. So what happened is when they shut down TikTok for that 12 hours, they put the TikTok platform on a different algorithm. And that algorithm was aligned with those people that Trump had up on stage with him during his inauguration. It aligned TikTok with those various algorithms. Now, I don't know all of the science. This was the post that I was listening to, what they said. By them putting us on the Meta algorithm, you would notice that your For You page was looking different. It just felt different. But once you block those pages, it puts you back onto the original TikTok algorithm.
Okay, I got it. I was just wondering what was the reason. All they were saying was block Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, so that's the reason.
What for?
Yeah.
So do you do this on the app, or you just go like search it on the internet and just go to their official website and do it on that? Or
No, you do it from your app. You do it
all
from
right,
your,
so run this
your
back.
TikTok.
You said go to Facebook and do what?
No, so you while you inside of the TikTok app, go to the search bar, put in Facebook.
I have to get off the live to do all that. We could talk about that later. You can go ahead and do your thing.
Yeah, for sure. Matter of fact, I even list the steps that I took in our chat. But I'm just letting it be known to anybody that's listening right now, you know. So now I'm able to actually kind of read the book without mincing my words and talk about unaliving and all that stupid shit. I'm just reading what it is. And I'm believing that I'm not being disturbed because I've taken it off of that reset algorithm and kind of put it back on the original TikTok algorithm, which I'm assuming because I'm not running into any issues, that the original algorithm is allowing free speech. So that was the reason. And yeah, I just wanted to share that while I was thinking about it. So I'm gonna get to these steps.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem, sis. All right, we love you too, sis. Sister Tina Judah. All right, so it says, we lay down the following principles for long-range comprehensive economic planning. Both horse and nigger are good to the economy in the wild or are no good to the economy in the wild or natural state. Both must be broken and tied together for orderly production. Number 3, for orderly futures, special and particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring. Both must be crossbred to produce a variety and division of labor. Both must be taught to respond to a peculiar new language. Psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. So, and think about that. What is psychological containment? When we hear these words, we can't just coax over. We got to really, you know, like he said, we got to take time to really kind of think about what is psychological containment. And can you look at African Americans and say, I see the effects of psychological containment? You know, is it apparent in the mass population of our people when you see us in social media or even out in public in person? Is it there or not? And then psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. We hold the above 6 cardinals as truths to be self-evident based upon the following discourse concerning the economics of breaking and tying the horse and nigger together, all inclusive of the 6 principles laid down above. In this society, in this economy, we are the horsepower for the dollar. We the horsepower for the dollar. And if America is considered, if the dollar bill is still the greatest currency on the planet, understand your role in that. Understand that the psychological containment means that we still are enslaved. Moving on. Note, neither principles alone will suffice for good economics. All principles must be employed for the orderly good of the nation. So, for the good of America, these things have to be the way that they are. Meaning that setting up a school, trying to build a Black community in this system, trying to, become a millionaire in this system. Everything that we do in this system falls under this construct, period. That's why we have to build our own nation. Everything we do under the current construct lends to the betterment of America and the Willie Lynch syndrome. Neither principles alone will suffice for good economics. All principles must be employed for the orderly good of the nation. Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or natural nigger is dangerous, even if captured, for they will have the tendency to seek their customary freedom, and in doing so, might kill you in your sleep. You cannot rest. They sleep while you are awake and are awake while you are asleep. They are dangerous near the family house, and it requires too much labor to watch them away from the house. Above all, you cannot get them to work in this natural state. Hence, both the horse and the nigger must be broken. That is, break them from one form of mental life to another. Keep the body, take the mind. In other words, break the will to resist. Now the breaking process is the same for horse and the nigger, only slightly varying in degrees. But as we said before, you must keep your eye focused on the female and the offspring of the horse and the nigger. A brief, and just know, in this book, they're not using no variation of it. It's Nigger, period. A brief discourse in offspring, so just so you don't think that that's how I see it, for whoever don't know. A brief discourse in offspring development will shed light on the key to sound economic principles. A brief discourse in offspring development on the key to sound economic principles. Pay little attention to the generation, but concentrate on future generations, thus introducing America's brand of slavery. Stay focused on the future generations. Therefore, if you break the female, she will break the offspring in its early years of development. And when the offspring is old enough to work, she will deliver it up to you. For her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. For example, take the case of the wild stud horse. A female horse and an already infant horse, and compare the breaking process with two captured nigger males in their natural state, a pregnant nigger woman with her infant offspring. Take the stud horse, break him for limited containment. Completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle, whereas you or anybody can ride her in comfort. Breed the mare and the stud until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. Train the female horse whereby she will eat out of your hand, and she will train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized nigger, use the same process, but vary the degree and step up the pressure so as to do a complete reversal of the mind. Take the meanest and most restless nigger, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, the female, and the nigger infant. Tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a different horse faced in opposite directions. Set him on fire and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining niggers. The next step, these are gentlemen that's doing this, by the way. In case you was envisioning, somebody with tattoos on their face, you know, a wife beater with his pants hanging down and a 40 in his hand. No, that's not who's doing this. That's not who's doing this to a human being. This is somebody in a suit and tie with a fucking monocle on, talking proper, looking official. Got their children, wives and children out there observing this and convincing them that this is natural, that this is the thing that you should do to this particular group of people. This is the person that's greeting you at the grocery store talking about good morning. Read that part again. Take the meanest and most restless nigga, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggas, the female and the nigga infant, tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a different horse faced in opposite directions. Set him on fire and beat the horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining niggas. The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the remaining nigga male to the point of death in front of the female and the infant. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding. So these ones, they didn't even do nothing. They just witnessed this other situation. But for an extended measure, we're going to beat the shit out of them. Also in front of everybody, you know, right after we pull this one apart and do all that stuff, we're going to beat the shit out of this group so that the message is clear, you know. Then we, you know, set them broken off to the side for future breeding. Next page, the breaking process of the African woman. Oh, so now Willie is acknowledging that these are humans. This is a woman now, an African woman. It ain't a nigga. It ain't a black. No, it's an African woman. Okay, good for you, Willie Lynch. Let's see what he said. Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. What does that mean to us as Black people? We can't go by color. We can't afford to cancel people based on race, because many people that look like us have been able to infiltrate us on us basing things on color when they was already bought and sold. So that would be the one that submits to the desires willingly. Test her in every way, because she is the most important factor for good economics. The woman is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any signs of resisting and submitting completely to our will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract that last bit of bitch out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. When in complete submission, she will train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking of the female nigga. We have reversed the relationships. Okay? Feminine men over strong ass women. This is what the planning was about. Reverse the relationships. In her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigga male, and she would have a limited protective dependency towards her independent male offsprings, and would raise female offspring to be dependent like her. Black women dependent on their Black men and being satisfied, happy, having life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in their original roles as nature would have it. This is what they reverse, and this is what they break in. This is what we observe and see in our communities today. In her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized, and they the ones using uncivilized. We were civilized as fuck, right? But anyway, in her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigga male, and she would have a limited protective dependency towards her independent male offspring, and would raise her female offspring to be dependent like her. Nature has provided for this type of balance. We reversed nature by burning and pulling one civilized And now they calling him civilized. He slipped. He didn't say uncivilized. So apparently the biggest, meanest, stubbornest nigga that they had to pull apart was civilized. We reverse nature by burning and pulling one civilized nigga apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reversed roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. This is that psychological bondage and how it's inducted through the mother. The mother, seeing the male image destroyed, now becomes the mother and the father. We hear this all the time. I don't need a man. I should be getting something on Father's Day. I'm the mother and the father. Mission accomplished. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent as well. What have you got? You've got the nigga woman out front and the nigga man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation for sound sleep and economics. As long as we going tit for tat, having Million Man March, and ain't moving the needle, what? The colonizer sleeps well. The colonizer gets wealthy, passes down wealth. Before the breaking process, we had to be alert and on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly, for out of frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her early infant slave molding process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. By the time a nigga boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for a long life of sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good labor force. Continually, through the breaking of uncivilized savage niggas, by throwing the nigga female savage into a frozen psychological state of independency, by killing the protective male image, and by creating a submissive dependent mind of the nigga male slave, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever. Unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the positions of the male and female savages. What is that said phenomenon?
Can you read that one again?
I sure will. I absolutely will. And before I even read that last paragraph again, did anybody on the panel want to chime in, want to add something that maybe stood out to them? You know, I enjoy an interactive panel. So, you know, if not, I'll continue, but the floor is open for a couple of seconds.
This is a very interesting book. Beat the last BITCH out of her.
Beat the last of it out of her.
That was kind of hard to hear, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Amongst other things, of course, but to know that this book was really a plan and they really executed the plan is like, damn. Y'all was good as fuck.
Yeah, they was efficient. Like a motherfucker.
Like, damn.
They handled their business.
They really did that because that's what it's really like now. You know, it's kind of funny. My mom and my sisters just went to the Dominican Republic for my mom's birthday, and one of my aunts had texted my mom and said, "You gonna bring me back a brother-in-law from out there?" So my mom, she's in her 60s, by the way. She's like, she was like, if I wanted one, you know, I would have been had one by now. But I just thought about the fact that, like, that part that you read about being dependent, you know, I thought about the fact like, dang, you wouldn't want you a man. You wouldn't want somebody that can teach you. Like you don't want to love a brother.
Well,
you know
what's funny about that, and what I understand by reading this book, the reason black women, you could kind of say universally in America, have the view of raise them. So they know what they put in them. They might not necessarily know that it was a part of a bigger plan or that they was used to do that. But on a I guess you could say a visceral level, they know how they raised them. They know they raised them in that weak reverse role. So at the time of maturity, when that man is no longer the boy, it's the relationship is already established. This nigga can't stand out front and protect me. He don't have the tools.
That's what I get out of it too. Like they pretty much took all the black male power and gave it to the woman, and then the woman had to depend on them for everything that they wanted. That's what I get out of it. Like,
correct. Yeah. Correct. And then, but at the same time, the woman is she's not in the end club either, because the white overseers and the white servants are not even in the end club. But when you start dealing with these levels of hierarchy, it's like it becomes clear that at the bottom of the bottom is the black man, because the most important person in the group for economics is the woman. Why? Because she produces the baby. She incubates the seed and brings the new round of slaves. So we need her in the right mind so that she raising that child to be in those reverse roles. She gonna raise the woman to be a strong black woman. She gonna raise the while he's cute like a puppy, she gonna dress him up like she do a girl, keep him cute, keep his head nice, deal with his bullshit, but by the time he become a teenager, he ain't really developing those mentally on those male things. She know what she created. So at the end of the day, that woman that he meets, this 21-year-old guy, when he meet a young girl that's 21, she's come under the same training that he came under. So we're coming together knowing that we're coming together with these reverse roles, but not understanding the psychological containment that's attached to it. But on a you could say a self-perseverance level, the woman know that the man is not equipped. He has no power. He has no power and or authority to do anything for me that I can't do for myself.
That's the road that I was definitely going down. I could do it by myself. That was my mind. Right. I mean, that's what I saw growing up. I wasn't raised in a household where a man was there doing stuff. I was raised in a household where I saw women doing everything, honestly, even my aunts, the woman. So, I got cousins and stuff like that. They do for their families, but like as far as in the immediate household, I've never seen that. Right. I ain't never seen a man do for a woman in my household. I've always it'd be you ain't even got the tools. They got the tools. You don't though. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to, but you ain't got them. Right. So I'm just gonna fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's the mind frame I was definitely in.
Well, Sister Brill, it should also be an eye opener for all of our women to understand that the position that we're put in, it wasn't by us per se. It was a plan that they initiated. So what we have to do is in this new establishment with the government and everything that's being established, we have to put the black man back in power. We have to put him in the position to be able to be the head of the things that's going on around us, because if we allow it to be like it is now, it's going to forever always be where we're lower than dogs. You know what I mean? So we have to rise. We have to create a system that allows the man to be who he is, and that's a powerful man. And that's why I feel like that they put us in that position to break us, to make us be submissive to their ways, and make you guys be submissive to them, and that keeps us under the foot of them. You get what I'm saying?
Well, from my opinion, for us to put their mindset into any type of feelings is a misstep. It says in the text itself, this is about economics and pleasure. Like they don't carry the same, I guess you could say, sentiments. Like you're not dealing with a well person. So to think of it in any type of rational terms is almost a complete misstep. You're not. It's not speaking the language of the person you talking about. You know, they don't care. And as a matter of fact, to the reality of it is, the things that we read about them doing to us, they wouldn't even do to dogs. You know, these same people, if they saw you tarring and feathering and snatching apart a dog, they would say you was the worst person ever. You know, they refer to us as monkeys. If they saw you actually
that's why I say we lower than dogs. That's why I said that. Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. And then for somebody to say, you know, I've seen in the comments that it don't apply to everybody. We know that. But God's glory and God's grace does. So at the end of the day, if it don't apply to you and you seeing this happen to other people and you sitting pretty and comfortable with that, you the problem. You that one that they didn't have to break because you went along with it willingly because you saw yourself in a better situation and you judge. Well, why can't my shit straight? Why? I got my mother and father in the household. We got jobs. We good.
Say that shit again.
You know, y'all the ones that is talking about eat out of the one that we can use and manipulate because they'll eat out of our hand. Yeah, that's you.
Saying that though, brother, what did they create? They created what? The Uncle Tom, and what's the other one, y'all? You call them? You know, I can't think of the other one, but you know, it's along the.
I said, or you talking about?
You said two of them. I remember on the last one you said Uncle Tom, and the other one was something else. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it'll probably come. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was basically just saying that, you know, they beat us, you know, and they put us in submission. That's pretty much what it is. And if you can't see that, that's what you are, you know.
Right. Now, again, we have to remember, if there wasn't a government supporting these people doing this, those men standing there watching them do this to one of their brothers would have beat the shit out of these people. Our people would have went ape shit seeing them doing these things to us. But we were informed through whatever the mode of communication was. Whenever there was an uprising, it probably was a mass slaughtering. Whenever there was any type of rebellion, there was a mass slaughtering. Families were separated. You had more tarring and feathering. So, and these mass slaughterings wasn't the civilians that was actually the slave owners. These are government officials coming in and deputizing regular civilians.
What's happening today, though, brother? Just in a different manner. Yeah,
absolutely. When we look at Zimmerman, that's a perfect example of the entitled deputizing of the white man in society, where he can do things to us, towards us, that we can't do back. The same thing with the banks. When you go in the bank and you got all your credentials and you trying to get a loan, you've been in a house for 30 years, you ready to pay it off and start your business, and they tell you no, but no real reason, or it's like that you chasing your tail. That's them deputized by this racist system to do those. So you have an infrastructure that supports this behavior. It's not just because the guy holding the whip wasn't the biggest. It wasn't some big oversized, like they try to show you in movies like Troy, like, oh, they were so dominant, we were scared. No. But we forget that they had the propaganda that came with it. So when you look at the propaganda, you see Uncle Sam standing upright, and then you see black people small and looking like little primates and shit like that. Like, so it was a lot that was happening at once. Like we said before, they was handling their business. All the wheels was turning, all the cylinders, all of the sparks was firing on the same cylinder type shit. All the cylinders was firing, however you say that shit. Like, it was a full court press. Our people did not just sit by docile and say, well, we gonna just take it. The government, the U.S. government, as stated in the beginning, gave the support, gave the resources, and put the battery in the back for the people to do this to us. For good economics, for them, for their business, and for their pleasure. All right, so I'm gonna hit that last paragraph one more time. Continually through the breaking of the uncivilized savage niggas by throwing a nigga female savage into a frozen psychological state of independency, by killing the protective male image, and by creating a submissive dependent mind of the nigga male slave, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and female savages. We show what we mean by example. Take the case of the two economic slave units and examine them closely. And they gave a little glossary in the back. I thought I saw one that kind of explained what they mean by axis and orbit and all of that. But basically, they just saying once this thing was implemented and ran on many fronts at one time, they wouldn't have to like, they would only have to do it every once in a while. But for the most part, us as those people and our white counterparts as those people would keep the thing going without even knowing it. It would just be a part of American culture. This is literally American culture in a nutshell. The enslavement and servitude of African Americans. So the next page, the Negro marriage unit. We breed two nigga males with two nigga females. Then we take the nigga males away from them and keep them moving and working. Say the nigga female bears a nigga female and the other bears a nigga male. Both nigga females being without influence of the nigga male image, frozen in an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her, and negotiate her at will. The one with the nigga male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Now, in a few years, when these two offspring become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. So now we're talking about PDF file. All right, have a good day. Love you. So now we're talking about, because it says that now in a few years, when these two offspring become fertile for early reproduction, what age is the body developed enough to reproduce? 12, 13, 14? Who oversees? Who
somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there, right? So who overseeing these children and mating them?
The owners. It's got to be the slave owners, huh?
Right, right. So again, now we're getting into the PDF file mindset that also comes along with this sick program. They already got it going with you got a stud, one nigga going around impregnate the women and then send him off till we need him to come back and do it again, because he make pretty babies. He makes strong babies. That's that nigga. And we had the same mentality today. The dude that ain't shit, you know what I mean, that go around and is not reliable on any other level, is the one that got the most babies in our communities. the upright nigga that keep a job and is trying to be righteous, he boring. He might have a wife. He might have a children. So guess what? As the populations go on, is the populations being filled by the righteous or the unrighteous? It's just something to think about. So, where were we at? We're talking about the offspring. Now, in a few years, when these two offspring become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. That is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. And another sad thing about this is, you taking young men and young women and you mating them. So now that the babies that they having don't have parenting. So the slave owner becomes the owner and the parent. Because this 13-year-old girl that just had a baby for this slave master, she's not, she hasn't even been in the environment to really know what to do. And now she's not even really in a situation to be the normal nurturing mother that probably does come to her naturally. When that child can come get taken out of your arms at will by somebody that don't, and at the same time, you don't even know why you have, if that person comes and take your baby, you feel honored. The slave master picked up my baby, girl. This is the psychological shit that we reading that they were doing, because it tells us earlier, we will love and trust them only. You won't even let a black man come touch your baby, but the slave master come pat you on the head, take the baby, kiss it. Now you the big dog amongst the other sisters. Like it's really a sick fucking cycle that these people was doing on every level.
So now, brother, how is it done? The government give them checks and they give them all this different stuff, though. You get what I'm saying? It's done. It's just in a different manner.
It's just in a different manner. It's still the psychological bondage is still there, right? And so that's what this is about. This is not, again, it's a trigger warning involved. This is harsh language. This is real talk. It's a real nigga conversation. We're not mincing words. We're not playing around. We don't have the luxury to be fucking around and arguing back and forth over petty shit. This is a crucial time in history. And we have to make it bigger than ourselves and what we're dealing with in this moment. This is for our children. This is us writing a history that our children will speak about. So if we want our offspring to be able to look back on 2025 proudly and be like, oh yeah, it was my people that ushered in this life that we live in now, where we comfortable and we living in the majesty of the Most High. Our people did that. We have to have these conversations. We got to be able to put our feelings to the side enough, or have emotional maturity enough to feel that lump in the throat, feel them hairs raised on the back of the neck, to feel that anger bubbling, but to still be able to control it enough to allow the conversation to unfold and happen. So that once it's all on the table, we then can start looking at, well, what are the solutions? What were we before this? What were they trying to break us from to turn us to this? Okay. So moving along. Let me make sure I'm on the right page. This shit throws you off, man. It's so wild. But yeah, that is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. Okay, so warning: possible interloping negatives. That's a mouthful. What does that mean? Possible interloping negatives. According to Willie Lynch, earlier we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the nigger in their wild and natural state. We talked out the principle of breaking and tying them together for orderly production. Furthermore, we talked about paying particular attention to the female savage and their offspring for orderly future planning. Then more recently, we stated that by reversing the position of the male and the female savages, it created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever, unless phenomenon occurred and reshifted the positions of the male and female savages. Every time we read this, I want to point out that that phenomenon is Yaju Judah. That phenomenon that's turning this axis on its ear and bringing us back into our proper person is our Lord and Savior, Yaju Judah, the Word made flesh, Christ walking the earth. That is the phenomenon that they feared. I got an asterisk next to this. So this, trigger warning with this next paragraph. Our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring. For they say that the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time, if it can touch some substantial original historical base. And they advised us that the best way to deal with this phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomena or illusions so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, something akin to floating balls in a vacuum.
That definitely sounds like astrology, don't it? I mean, it don't astrology reach out and snatch you up when he described it like that?
Mm-hmm.
Astrology.
A multiplicity of phenomena or illusions, so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, something akin to floating balls in a vacuum. Now, this is the first time that I actually even paid attention to this part. But if you notice, the spheres that make up the tree of life, they're not floating around detached from each other like orbiting balls in a vacuum. They are all actually interconnected and interrelated. So this is what they wanted to disrupt, the order that we was in, so that they might create disorder and disarray and illusion. It's my first time even really putting that one and two together, but yeah, I'm gonna keep reading, man. This creation of a multiplicity of phenomena or illusion entails the principles of crossbreeding the nigger and the horse, as we stated above, the purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, the results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each spherical illusion. The results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each spherical illusion. Now, I'm gonna pause right there. We on page 23. Everybody kind of remember that for me, because I know sometimes in the breakdowns I can lose my spot. But we on page 23 of the Willie Lynch. And I had that underlined. It said, the results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each spherical illusion. Once again, if you notice, on the tree of life, the points of connection are not severed. And the reason that I was pointing that out is it made me think about the first sphere that each sphere on the tree of life begins with is it's called the law of Amen, or Nil, or you could say the highest thought, or the most high, the God mind, right? And we're not talking about a Christ consciousness. We're talking about the invisible creator of all things, that omniscient energy, that invisible source that moves matter in the physical world, moves people, writes its message in the hearts of its people. Let me find this spot right quick. Let me find this. Okay, so in the original sphere, which is this one at the top, and the reason that it's disconnected in that sense is because we know that in order to get to the Father, you got to go through the Son, right? Everything else has got the channels that's connecting it. But above the first sphere, which would be considered the firstborn of the dead of Christ, is the null. And it says origin, essence, true state, self, and spirit as one, explicit oneness, implicit infinitude of beings. So the law of Amen, it says there's a world of difference in being able to say that you believe in God's existence versus saying that you know that God exists. The difference is not readily apparent to most people as they do not have a keen understanding of the meaning of the word belief. Let's say that there's a pot of beans on the stove and it usually takes between 60 to 90 minutes to thoroughly cook this type of beans. What would be your response if asked if the beans are thoroughly cooked at the 60-minute point and you could not actually check the beans? You only have the time estimate to suggest an answer, as there's an obvious element of doubt due to the absence of evidence. You can only answer with, I don't know, or I believe so, or it is possible, or maybe not, etc. And let's say that you are given a multiple choice test in which your life depends on the correct answer. You are asked to choose the correct answer to the question above. Statement A, I know that the beans are thoroughly cooked. B, I believe that the beans are thoroughly cooked. Since the time element suggests that the beans could be cooked, B is the correct choice. While it is easy to see in this simple example, and many others like it, that we express belief when we lack proof and are thus not able to say that we know, most people cannot see the principle when they express belief in God's existence as opposed to expressing that they do know, have proof that God exists. To say I believe is to say I don't know. Before you rush to say that you do know, let's understand that the expression of knowledge requires given proof, and proof requires the presentation of evidence that must be universally acceptable to everyone. Evidence that cannot be argued away. It is because of the evidence that we know and don't believe in the existence of sea mammals, dinosaurs, volcanoes, etc. We don't believe that if we make contact with a certain amount of electrical voltage for a certain amount of time, that it will kill us. We know. So again, this book gets into a lot of how we address the stuff that's being mentioned with the Willie Lynch. And I wanted to get into one. Let me just go ahead and find it. I'm gonna have to do a color coding of highlights so that when I come on the panel, I can hop right to stuff. But anyway, what I was getting to is the nature of the first sphere, which is Asar, A-S-U-A-R, is that because we are all connected on a certain level, somebody can't be against you because they are you. They are a part of you. They are a part of who you are, which is what I was trying to tell a sister in the comments who I blocked and I rejected from. I don't need none of that negativity in the comments, but I was trying to let her know, those of us that feel like they are isolated case from the Willie Lynch and therefore it doesn't apply to them, they don't understand the principles of Asar. The principles of Asar is that we are all one. We are all connected. Nobody can be against you if you are all people, meaning the empathy that would be within you wouldn't allow you to see others suffering while you eating and doing well. That's that interconnection that they broke and put us into this orbiting axis of balls in a vacuum. So just to kind of point out again how this book ties into the correction of a lot of the conditioning and training that we got from this book. I'll have my notes better next time though. Technically, this would have been the time for my panel, but I'm gonna keep it going so that I could finish the Willie Lynch and get into some of the Mayak, you know, this the bounce back from the TikTok reset. And as y'all see, when you get off of those particular algorithms, the live hasn't been disrupted at all. I'm pretty sure you probably wasn't nowhere near this type of language on your live, huh, Daniel?
Oh, sir.
They shut his live down for playing King's, one of King's videos. We reading everything directly out this book. They still ain't, you know, so just in case you was wondering if that little change in your blocking those new algorithms helps, I think so. All right. What page was we on?
23.
23. All right, for sure. Thank you. All right, so 23. This creation of multiplicity of phenomena or illusion entails the principles of crossbreeding the nigger and the horse, as we stated above, the purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, the results of which is the severance of the positions or the severance of the points of original beginnings for each spherical illusion. Since we feel that the subject matter may get more complicated as we proceed in laying down our economic plan concerning the purpose, reason, and effect of crossbreeding horses and niggers, we shall lay down the following definitional terms for future generations. Oh, here go the terms I was looking for. Orbiting cycle means a thing turning in a given pattern. Axis means upon which or around which a body turns. Phenomena means something beyond ordinary conception and inspires awe and wonder. Multiplicity means a great number. Sphere means a globe. Crossbreeding a horse means taking a horse and breeding it with an ass, and you get a dumb, backward ass, long-headed mule that is not reproductive nor productive by itself. Crossbreeding niggers means taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many nigger women as possible, varying the drops by the various tones that you want, and then letting them breed with each other until the circle of colors appears as you desire. Now, once again, when you're dealing with gentlemen, gents, Tory, when they say something like putting them, crossbreeding niggers means taking so many drops of good white blood, they're not talking about taking a needle and taking blood out of their arms and then injecting it into their slaves. That's not how they put the good white blood into their slaves. And we're not even gonna get graphic, but put a 1 in the comment if you think you know how they was putting that good white blood into slaves. Okay.
You said a 1 on how they was putting the blood in?
Okay, if you think you know, it says crossbreeding niggers means taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many nigger women as possible. If you think you know how they was putting that good white blood into as many nigger women as possible, put a 1 in the comments. That was the statement. Now, to show you that we all in one accord, put a 1 in the comment if you think they was doing it by some righteous means. If you think they had a nice clinic set up where they was extracting blood from themselves and putting it into the women, you know, Bright Eyes had the last one I saw from the last comment. Oh yeah, 2 exactly. It was not righteous.
What you meant, like if we actually knew how they was doing it?
Oh, we know how they was doing it, sis.
Well, how y'all? Cause I can't get a visual for that.
Okay, so they was graping them.
What's that?
Was graping?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like, but it's, you know, a violation of a woman.
So they was doing graping, but with an R,
Yes, ma'am.
and they was taking they blood from the
No,
woman.
this is what I'm trying to tell you is, and they slick tongue and they forked tongue in this writing for the white women that read this, they putting good white blood into their nigga women. To not be offensive to their women, they putting it in these terms. But what they really doing in the slave quarters to put that blood in them is how you normally make a baby.
Okay.
Are you with me? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
So basically, they was creating a mulatto class through violating the slave women. So technically, based on how they try to present black people as being not human, you could say they was even open to bestiality. A lot of it, because it says to put as much, putting them into as many nigga women as possible. It goes back to that pleasure part. Yeah, there's the business of crops. There's the business of labor. But it pleasures us to be able to put this good white blood into them. And we gonna make it a pretty picture and say, we just doing this to create various tones of labor. We want a color spectrum. So we just gonna add a couple of drops of our white blood. This is what you tell your wife when you're a slave master, when you're about to disappear for a couple of hours into the slave quarters. I'm going to take care of business. I gotta, it's science.
And I also remember that was part of the submissiveness too. Now, remember from the beginning when you read that about that, them, making us, get in order, their order. That was part of it,
Correct. And these women, that's not to say that within the slave quarters themselves, that there wasn't men and women that was coupled up as husbands and wives, or maybe even had families. So they doing it the same way that they did what they did in front of the slaves with the man. They doing this in front of the men with the women. We want you to see us doing this to your women. We want you to know what happened and then see a mulatto child come out of your wife. We want you to notice. Okay, we don't want you to miss any of this authority that we exert over you, because the government is giving us the impetus and is giving us the authority to do this. Nothing will happen to me if I do this to you every day. If I do this to your daughter in front of you, ain't nothing gonna happen, nigga. Try to do something. You saw what I did to your father, your brother, your cousin still limping around here missing a foot. Play with me. For various tones that you want, and then letting them breed with each other until the circle of colors appear as you desire. What this means is this: put the niggas and the horse in the breeding pot, mix some asses and some good white blood, and what do you get? I wonder if they was hitting the horses too at this point. What do you get? You got a multiplicity of colors of ass backwards, unusual niggas running tied to backwards ass long-headed mules. The one productive of itself, the other sterile. The one constant, the other dying. We keep the nigga constant, for we may replace the mule for another tool. Both mule and nigga tied to each other, neither knowing where the other came from, and neither productive of itself, nor without each other. All right, moving down to, we on page 25. We got 3 pages left. Bear with me, y'all. Again, trigger warning for anybody just coming in. This tough talk, real nigga conversation. This all has to do with who's ready to build a nation. Who's ready to bring their gifts and talents to the new nation to help build it up. We need every aspect of government to build this nation. Everybody is not given the same gifts. You know what the Most High blessed you with, you know, and maybe what you have as a gift, because of these things, you was never able to bring it to the forefront. You know, you might be a mechanic, but you got a insatiable way of reading the stars. You might be, you know, you might be a great scientist, but by proxy, you like me, you just pick trash up in people's complex or some shit like that. You know, and there's no shame in putting in your day's work and labor to take care of your business and pay your bills. But what we're saying is, in this new government, in this new righteous government, this new nation, racism will not be allowed. Classism will not be allowed. The caste system will not be allowed. These are things that are not welcome and not allowed in God's righteous government, because that's not how he created us to be. All of these constructs of real people that the colonizer created through the Willie Lynch, all that's going to die out. That's going to fall off. It's going to, you know, it's not going to be the culture of the United Kingdoms of Negus. It won't. Because we have a righteous leader. You know, our God is good. We see in Genesis, when he created the world, everything he did afterwards, he put the, you know, verification on it, and he saw that it was good. This world, this existence, this God's thoughts and words made manifest was intended for the goodness and the glory of God, not for the evil and the corruption that's going on today. And what we found out, and what we even seen with every other evil thing that they did to us, eventually it trickled into the rest of society. You know, it was all good sneaking out to the slave quarters until you saw your white daughter doing it. Then it's a problem. It was all good putting crack in the Black community until you seen your kids driving their Benz over there to get crack. You see what I'm saying? So all of the things that they did, all of the evil eventually turns on its own axis, as they say. And you find out that nobody's exclusive from the results of it. You know, so again, just like it always turns every time, you know. So just like the Most High is no respecter of persons, neither is the devil. You know, and that's one of the things we have to understand, is the reestablishing of ourselves as Black men. You know, and I direct a lot of my, I guess you could say, fiery baptism towards my brothers, because it is going to take a different type of testicular fortitude for us to actually put aside the fear that was instilled in us to stand up against this power construct. We have to understand that we're not powerless. You know, we have to understand we were selected for a reason. Out of all of the different groups, why were we selected to carry this? Because our forefathers were the ones that they was in these positions of authority at one time. But what did the sons of God do? They came down and they saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and took them as wives. And they became great men. We're talking about the way that we dealt with our relationship with God versus the information of man. We started building golden calves and monuments to ourselves. Them being able to do this is the result of our forefathers doing. So the correction of it will be the result of our doing for the generations that come after us. It's that simple. All right, so moving on to page 25. All right, so I just got my first restriction from some audiences. I will dispute it when I get off. Can y'all still hear me, the ones that's here?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So we can hear you.
All right. So I did just get my first restriction. I don't know if it was somebody in the audience. Whoever is a moderator, if you see anybody in the comments that actually is against us or against this message, I ask you to block and remove them, because I can't catch all of them. My panels are no longer for the people that's just outright going against Yaju Judah. You know, anything derogatory towards nation building, that going, I'll remove them. Now, you're welcome to disagree and be respectful, but if you coming out the side of your neck or you saying things like that, to me, you the ones that's reporting us to get our lives cut down. So that it's not about them not having the right to have their opinion, but those are the ones that's reporting and shutting down our information. All right, so controlled language, page 25. Crossbreeding completed. For further severance from their original beginning, we must completely annihilate the mother tongue of both the nigger and the new mule and institute a new language that involves the new life's work of both. You know, language is a peculiar institution. It leads to the heart of a people. The more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society. We have been in America long enough to know the English language. It's not about picking up the Bible and understanding the words at this point. What Christ is also showing us, to be Christ-like, we have to read the Willie Lynch the same way we read the Bible. The words is one thing, but the parables, we have to understand the colonizer speaks in parables. So to move through his society, we have to break down the parables and the things that he's saying, just like we did with the putting drops of white blood into the nigger slaves. There was a parable involved there. Saying one thing, meaning something else. Actually, meaning two things, what was said, but also what was meant. That's how we reading this at this point. We're not reading it for a knee-jerk emotional reaction. That's going to happen automatically, but we're reading it for the in-depth messaging because this wasn't written for us. This was written to the slave masters, right? So we have to understand that there's always going to be this layer of fake decency that they try to put on their communication. This air of legitimacy. And the more debauchery that is covering up, the more legitimate they try to make it sound, all the way to the point that most people don't even know what the hell lawyers is talking about when we're in court. That's why they talk to each other in legalese. How's somebody talking for you and you don't know what the fuck they talking about? But the person on the other side that you're going against know what they talking about, right? A courtroom, but we do understand that Christ is taking the seals off the Bible. So if we can use that same measure to read this book, we'll understand what's being said literally, and then what's the code underneath, right? So again, what did he say? You know, language is a peculiar institution. It leads to the heart of a people. The more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society. So what did he know about Black people? What did they know about us to be able to break us? They knew that we were people that feel things. They know we are a visual people. They know we are connected people. So from them seeing how connected and visual and emotional we are in our expression, they knew if we do some visual things in front of them with one of their own, they all gonna feel it. They spoke to us in our language. Feelings, visual, right? So now, going with the petition, he talking to them in their language. What is he doing? By nation building? And now we're moving through their society. Page 26. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of the country, to the extent that he knows the body of the language, to that extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture. For example, you take a slave. If you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave, for you can't fool him any longer, and having a fool is one of the basic ingredients of and incidents to the making of the slavery system. So when they talk to us, even when they talking to Barack Obama, the people that follow this, even when they talking to the best among us, they're talking to a slave, a fool. They're talking to a product. when they are talking to our best and our brightest, and that's what I was saying earlier, is we can't on the level like we're talking to somebody with the same kind of consciousness. It's not. For example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops, and he knows the language well, he would know that our crops didn't mean our crops. And the slavery system would break down, for he would relate on the basis of what our crops really meant. So you have to be careful in setting up new language, for the slave would soon be in your house talking to you as man to man. And that is death to our economic system. What is death to the economic system? Black men standing upright, talking to them, and being men talking to men. Us being men, dealing with them as men, not subservient, not subordinate, but dealing with them as upright men of God, breaks their system. It is death to our economic system. In addition, the definition of words or terms are only a minute part or only a minute part of the process. Once again, like we said, just because we know the words, it's telling you right here, the definition of words or terms are only a minute part of the process. Values are created and transported by communication through the body of the language. What did we say black and white was? In this art of colonization, they deal with values. They deal with language, not for its meaning and the definition of terms, but for the message, the communication that's being sent to the heart of man. So a total society has many interconnected value systems. In the society have bridges of language to connect them for orderly working in the society. These many value systems would sharply clash and cause internal strife or civil war. The degree of the conflict being determined by the magnitude of the issue or relative opposing strength in whatever form. For example, if you put a slave in a hog pen and train him to live there and incorporate in him to value it as a way of life completely, the biggest problem you would have out of him is that he would worry you about provisions to keep the hog pen clean or partially clean, or he might not worry you at all. On the other hand, if you put this same slave in the same pen and make a slip and incorporate them for something in his language whereby he comes to value a house more than he does his hog pen, you got a problem. He will soon be in your house. The end. That's the Willie Lynch letters, y'all.
That's the whole book already? Or you still got more to go?
No, it's only 28 pages. That's the whole
What?
book.
That's the whole book.
That's the whole book.
But it's had a lot of information in it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, a crack rock ain't big either, but it done tore up a lot of people's lives. This is a little dose of hate that's done a lot of damage for generations and generations.
A lot of us in their houses today too.
Oh yeah.
They weren't looking for that to happen.
Not at all. You know, but now we got to unify because we don't learn their language. We know their secrets. Everything is on the table. It's exposed. And so now, you know, any separation that we have between us over the definitions of words versus the intention behind it is willful ignorance. You know, any getting out of, we have a common enemy that has a bigger picture involved is self-sabotage. So we got to look at this building a nation thing as something that's very, very important, you know. And we have to understand that Yaju Judah is that phenomenon that Willie Lynch had concerns about happening that would turn all of this upside down. So if you want to know where to get this book, I'm on Wednesdays and Fridays from 10, supposedly to 12, but starting at 10. So you ain't necessarily got to buy the book. I'm not really trying I mean, obviously you can go on Amazon and probably find it, but the purpose of this is not to push people towards buying the Willie Lynch book, as much as to come together collectively as a community and have a discussion about it, and to really get an understanding. Mirror and to, what does the Bible say in 2 Timothy 2:15? Study to show yourself approved unto God. Start to really examine ourselves and to see if we are entertaining the highest thought. If we really are trying to be on that narrow path, or if we just faking the funk. This discussion is again, it's not to get a bunch of people spending money with Willie Lynch. To you want to go spend that $15. You could go to the website www.yajujuda.com and invest that money into the GoFundMe to build a nation. But as it was voted on this morning, we're gonna keep the Willie Lynch alternating. Shit, as long as the panel is going, that's what this panel was gonna do. We're gonna delve into this book. We're gonna take these violations on the chin and keep it moving. But also, like I said, I haven't made the highlights in the Mayat book to really give you some of the breakdowns of the various orbs and how they connected to each other. But Mayat, or the 42 negative confessions that I read, is actually sphere number 4. So that 42 negative confessions only represents one sphere on this whole Kemetic tree of life. And all of the orbs or spheres are interconnected. So if you're getting the 42 negative confessions out of just one, just understand that each sphere represents, you could say, a body of thought that helped to maintain a righteous society. These were teachings that came down from great scholars like Ptah and, people that was in Timbuktu when, coming into our community, it was like being on a university campus. We were into the sciences and we were into, mathematics and all of the things that made our societies great. These were the things that we were under these orders when they came from overseas and saw us in our natural state. So how do we become slaves? We thought, oh, they just came and dominated us and started snatching us off the coast. No, our leadership was willing to make trade and exchange with this new person that was coming on board. We didn't know their agenda because that's another part of their language. That's another part of the colonizers' language. What do? They send in the, what are the people called that bring Bible teachings? They send in the missionaries, the white missionaries, mind you, because again, most missionaries don't know the mission. They know that they want to be righteous. They know they want to be right with the Most High. Usually tree huggers and people that love God and love humanity. Good people going in to teach about Christ and God. And what does that do? You bring something foreign like this idea to a community, it's going to divide the community because some people going to hear you, like your message and agree. Some people are not. Once the division is made, you report back to whatever government you missioning for. Would you just say America? You're an American missionary in Africa somewhere. You're receiving government funding to be able to travel and do these things, or your church or organization is receiving this funding. So you report back to the church. Yeah, I would say half of the people, they accept Christ. They love Jesus just like we do. But half of them, they don't want to do it. Either they voodoo or Islam or they something else. To who? The government. Now the government mobilizes the army. Time. Anybody that's not with us is against us. They savages. as part of the process, you take somewhere like Ethiopia where you have royalty, they showing up, they got frankincense and myrrh or whatever they bring into trade, and they saying, well, we got these things to trade, but we need infrastructure. We need labor to help us build our infrastructure. Oh, okay, well, we got some people that we can, you know, they not thinking all of this shit we just read in Willie Lynch. They thinking something similar to what they got them doing on the motherland. It's when they found out what kind of treatment was happening that you had situations like Marcus Garvey and Zatu communicating like, no, it ain't what y'all think. Y'all sending y'all constituents over here to be servants and labor, a labor force, and they literally are being broken with the horses or torn apart by the horses. They're being abused in their living quarters in front of each other. Things are happening that are completely not that gentleman person that you talking to, that he's upright when he's talking to you. No, behind closed doors, he's a fucking savage. He's not that same nigga. You know, and again, these were the forefathers. Most of the America celebrates on the 4th of July, and when we put our hand over our chest and saying a pledge and all of these different things, a large percent, a majority of them fit into this, supported this. You know, so again, I'm not trying to push anybody to go buy the Willie Lynch so much as to continue to come back to this platform. Peace, twin. Come back to this platform. You know, continue to interact. Once I figure out how to actually operate the panel, we can have more open spaces for people that's not currently with us to come up, ask their questions and dialogue. For the Saints, y'all know the floor is always open for you to, you know, speak your mind and say what you want to say. But yeah, on the next one, I'll have, like I said, more highlights, and we start going through these spheres. The Willie Lynch, and I'll go through a sphere on the tree of life, and we'll do it that way until again. But for now, just to kind of go back to where we started before I close it out, I'm gonna just read the 42 negative confessions. Again, these 42 negative confessions only represent the sphere of Mayat, which is sphere number 4. And they go as such. I have not committed sin. 1. I have not committed robbery with violence. 2. I have not stolen. 3. I have not slain.
When you read in this and it's saying I have not, is that the confession? Them saying they have? Okay,
No,
I just want to make sure.
it's called a negative confession because you're saying I have not. So the practice of saying this, just say at the top of the morning, you go through you say your Saints pledge, 32 negative confessions. And then at some point throughout your day, you know, you come across a situation where without that extra input, you may cuss somebody out, or you may wake up on the wrong side of the bed and just be shitty for no reason, right? But as you're going through your negative confessions, and then it says, you know, I have not been, there's one to talk specifically about just being mad for no reason. The negative confession is, I have not been mad without cause. So it brings you into the remembrance of like, oh, okay, I am kind of being shitty for nothing. Let me chill out. Or I have not stolen. So you in a situation, you see somebody's shit just kind of sitting there, you know, the negative confession, the conviction on your heart to the negative confession, you would, you know, think twice, like, down. Ma'am, you left your purse.
Okay. I follow.
Okay. Anybody else kind of have a question about the negative confessions or don't really understand why I'm reading this or think that this is bullshit? I don't need to add this to the back and forth. you know, if not, I'm gonna continue where I left off, which was number 5. And I'm reading a negative confession and then saying the number afterwards. It's just easier. I have not stolen food. Is number 5. I have not swindled offerings. 6. I have not stolen from God or goddess. 7. I have not told lies. Is 8. I have not carried away food. Is 9. I have not cursed. 10. I have not closed my ears to truth. 11. I have not committed adultery. It's 12. I have not made anyone cry. I have not felt sorrow without reason. I have not assaulted anyone. 15. I am not deceitful. I have not stolen anyone's land. I have not been an eavesdropper. I have not falsely accused anyone. 19. I have not been angry without reason. 20. I have not seduced anyone's wife. I have not polluted myself. I have not terrorized anyone. 23. I have not disobeyed the law. I have not been exclusively angry. I have not cursed God or goddess. I have not behaved with violence. I have not caused disruption of peace. I have not acted hastily or without thought. I have not overstepped my boundaries of concern. I have not exaggerated my words when speaking. I have not used evil thoughts, words, or deeds. I have not polluted the water. I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. I have not cursed anyone in thought, word, or deed. 36. I have not placed myself on a pedestal. I have not stolen what belongs to God, or I have not stolen from or disrespected the deceased. 39. I have not taken 40. I have not acted with insolence. 41. And I have not destroyed property belonging to confession number 42. Those are the 42 negative confessions. You know, and again, when you hear those confessions and you hold them up against Willie Lynch, you understand that they understood our language. This was our language. This was our mindset. This was how we were able to, our women were able to depend on the men, and we were able to be dependable for our women and our children. This is how we maintain the balance in the ecosystem of, you know, our various ethnicities in a righteous place before we fell off. So they understood our language. And then if you, again, hold it up next to what they did to create these orbiting balls in a vacuum, they just disrupted us from our normal natural state. Yeah, that's basically what we have for today. I would love to hear from each person on the panel, maybe some closeout or something you want to contribute, you know, as a saint to the conversation. You know, in case anybody that follows you saw you live and came over, something you want to contribute, you know, just looking for some closing statements before we wrap it up.
Let's say,
Oh, go ahead, Parker.
yeah, I really liked the Maya book. It kind of helps me. Like when you was reading those 42, it helps bring remembrance to keeping a righteous, well, like a righteous lifestyle. And like if you was to have those in remembrance, that's definitely I think a good thing to be spreading to the brothers and sisters. I really like it. I really like the book, and it does correlate to the Willie Lynch because it's the exact opposite of how they almost like the way I see it, they almost create an algorithm
Mm.
in the mindsets of the people through the brutal ways that in the ways that they did the things you read about. So, but I appreciate you and everything you did bring out today.
For sure. Appreciate you as well, brother. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I want to say, yeah, thank you to brother for also bringing the awareness of the separation. Our people, Willie Lynch really showed how they made us submissive to them to them and you know put our women in power so I can actually see the stuff that's actually happening today, like as far as like the women with the strength over the black men. It made me kind of see a different outlook on how I perceive it out. But yeah, it's definitely a strong book. Or whatever it is, was really strong. And yeah, thank you for actually bringing it out so people can see the reason that we're in the situation that we're in right now.
What I got out of it, it helped me show me how I raised two. Boys as a mother and as a single. It helped me, you know, that brought out a lot of, you know, differences between how I did the two boys.
Mm. Cool.
So that was good.
Thank you for sharing that testimony, Sister Deborah. And so I'm just kind of taking my time with it, just so you know.
No problem. I know whenever it's time, you'll get to it. Thank you.
One love, sis.
Yeah.
Number 42? Absolutely. I have not destroyed property belonging to God or goddess.
What you read today, the information that you brought out. Sorry about the echo, y'all. I'm in the bathroom. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm just kidding. So, but what you brought out today just helped me on my healing journey. And it helped me see some more. Like I was already seeing. You know how some things, maybe not now for y'all, or maybe so, but some things I be genuinely trying to figure out what that means and what's the understanding of it. Especially now has really been a time where I really have been looking inside myself. Like I always have, but there's been a lot of questions. Before I was reluctant to asking questions because I didn't know what I was even trying to figure out. But I've gotten a whole lot further. And so yeah, I'm appreciative for the information that you read. And that was actually very helpful and just softened me up a little some. So thank you.
Thank you. You know I love you. And there's really ain't much else to say about that. I'm glad it was helpful.
No, I love you too. And you know I love y'all too, family. Much love and much blessings and much peace.
Much love.
Likewise, sis.
42 was part of the fourth spear.
Yes.
So would these 42 spread throughout the four corners of the earth once the government is established?
So, you know, I can only really stand within the present of the ministry that I'm bringing. And it's because, you know, like I said, when I met Yaju, I wasn't heavily in the spiritual, I guess you could say, journey, had left from more into a personal and what it kind of meant to be a Black man. Like I was treating being a Black person as my religion. So for me to actually be able to say if these things will be verbatim what'll be used, I can't stand on that. But I hope so, because again, these were some of the tenets that helped me to be prepared to even meet Yaju, you know, and upon meeting him, be able to accept that he was Christ. Because a lot of this information, if you practice it, you'll find that you're more righteous than you were, and probably more righteous than a lot of your surroundings, because you have these things in your arsenal to kind of draw off of in the moment of things. So I could see how it would definitely would benefit if it was part of the kingdom moving forward. You know, and if given the opportunity to petition that to Yaju or, you know, even a family, like, it's something that I would definitely vote for myself. Yeah. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, yeah, you gave me a different like point of view on it, but I was just kind of like using my understanding of four, and because you said it was the fourth spear, so I was like, okay, and it had to do with basically laws of like righteousness.
Yeah,
that's what I was kind of thinking.
No, break it down a little bit. Say that again, because I want to understand. I grow from other people's perspective. So I didn't make the connection with the four. Can you say that again?
So I was just it was just a thought I had because the new song that we are spreading throughout the four corners is righteousness.
The four corners, right?
So I was kind of aligning that with it being about righteousness,
right?
Being the fourth. That's all I was really saying.
Now, you know what's so funny though is Mayat as kind of like a comedic, as she's viewed in the comedic, is the one that when a person passes away, she puts she's justice. So justice should spread through the four corners of it, because she's the one who puts your heart on the scale, and your heart has to be lighter than a feather for you to cross the ethers to go into the, you know, a place of peace.
Okay, so Mayat is kind of like a representation of the body of God in the earth, and Christ being the head. When you pointed out the spear at the top, what was the name of the spear at the top?
The one at the very so the one that represents Null, or you could say God, is called Amen. But the first sphere, which would represent, you know, Christ being the head, is Asar.
Okay. Asar. Okay. That's right. I remember you saying that.
Right. And so again, like the person that wrote this book probably deals with comedic deities and things like that. So I'm not going into deifying anything, you know, just kind of being clear. I'm not going into the Mayat as a deity or whatever. I'm dealing more with kind of what you just said. I didn't think about the four being the four corners of the earth and Mayat being a kind of the spirit of justice in that sense. But yeah, man, that's cold-blooded. I'm glad I asked, because yeah, I see that now.
Yeah, me too. I could definitely see how it aligns with the prophecy, with it being a spiritual book.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, each sphere has a name and it has a characteristic. And so, like I said, moving forward, you know, we're going to read Willie Lynch, and then we're going to go into the different spheres and the characteristics and see how those interconnected mindsets are different from the animal mindsets that we found out from Yaju is where the world is kind of at now. You know, one set of mindsets is spiritual and one is cardinal. You know, so yeah, man, that's cold. That's real cold. The four corners. I hadn't even my yacht being number 4. And that's the reason that really is resonating with me right now is because, you know, again, in my journey, going through different ideas of theology and really just trying to, my whole journey was to just find God. And in numerology, my life path number is a 4. You know what I'm saying? And I actually, I own a trademark to a Chicago phrase on 4 now. Like, so 4, I'm the oldest of 4 with my siblings. And, you know, 4 is a very prominent number with to point that out. And I never saw that myself. Like, man, yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, hey, one question too. So you said Wednesdays and Fridays is when you go at what was it like 10 to 12?
I started 10, but since the reset of the TikTok, I'm not gonna limit it to 12.
And do you record your lives and stuff and put them on YouTube?
I actually just started realizing that TikTok automatically records the live. I didn't realize that. So now that I know that, I am gonna start doing that.
Okay, I was just wondering for anybody that might miss one, or maybe if I might miss one of the next spears or whatever, you can go to another site and definitely still get the information on what's being brought up.
For sure. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'll make sure that I'm doing that, bro. That's 1 thou. Wow. Yeah, the 4 corners and my yacht and it. That's dope. Brother Danny, Brother Gucci Man, did y'all have any words of wisdoms to impart before we close out? Yes, no, maybe so. Well, you know what? While they figuring out what they want to say, I'm gonna play a little music. Dedicate this one to my brother, the following leader.
So woo.
Woo, woo. Yeah. What's up, peoples? Where my likes at? I'ma wait till some more y'all get in here before I get started. But while you waiting, man, go ahead and hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Share this. Subscribe to the channel. And hit that little bell so you get notification. When the clouds are the grayest and the sky's the darkest, when the world is the coldest and the times is the hardest, know the Most High is present through the eyes of His artist. Let me paint a picture for you that'll move your heart the farthest from the pain. Feeling drained from the politics and games that never cease. There's no peace, more bodies in the streets, terrorized in our home by our own damn police. Make you think, why live if I could die and be in peace? Why starve when in prison niggas eat? No brainer, why face the world alone when I can ride and be a banker? Yeah, America is home, but I feel like a stranger because the laws don't protect me, so I'm constantly in danger. I'm never really living if I'm always preparing for the day I gotta fight to survive the wrath that can, or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share. Really, like, share, and subscribe. You know, just withstand and keep taking it. to the mothers and the fathers and the brothers and the daughters and extended family members that's in no specific order. Listen up, this is it. It's a blitz on the real. If you ain't with the shits, you should split. We don't wave no white flags. We get all up in the mix. We got bricks, we got stones, we got sticks. Words can never hurt them, so they say, but they gon' say whatever to whoever, however, and whenever that it fits. I never call it quits. I call it how I see it in this bitch. I walk it how I talk it. I stand on real shit, and I'm never gonna get off it. I ain't afraid of death, but I still haven't lost it. I move like a boss in my lane, so never cross it. Keep it moving to the end. Me numb like my arteries is frozen. That's the cost of being chosen when your views are agnostic and you guarantee.
Like, share, and subscribe. 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 Like, share, and subscribe.
There you have it, folks. Like, share, subscribe to the live. We're going to catch y'all on the next one. Go to www.yajujuda.com to help support Building Our Nation.
Okay, brother, don't forget to put that in the WhatsApp to show us how to block Facebook and Instagram.
All right, for sure.
Peace and blessings, everybody.
There you go.
One love.
Peace and love,
Peace and
family.
love,
Peace and love.
saints. Peace and love.
Peace and love.